The text arrived just as I finalized the last documents for a tech merger. It was December 22nd, and the Chicago skyline sparkled outside my office windows. "Sweetheart, about Christmas this year, your brother Nathan's bringing his new fiancée, a news anchor. We think it's best if you skip this one. You get it, right? Love, Mom." I stared at the message, then gave a tight, weary smile. After 15 years, nothing had shifted. Despite everything I'd achieved, I was still the family outcast. What Mom didn't know was that the freelance consultant she barely noticed was now Harper Quinn, CEO of Pinnacle Strategies, the firm discreetly guiding major corporate moves across 3 continents. My assistant Lena buzzed through the intercom. "The Merrick's executives are ready for the call." "Thanks, Lena," I replied, adjusting my slate blue silk blazer. They all assumed I shopped at thrift stores, and I let them. 15 years earlier, I'd walked away from our Minnesota estate after rejecting a position at the family business, Quinn and Nathan Enterprises. "You're throwing your life away," my father had shouted. Nathan, lounging in his leather chair, smirked. "Let her go, she'll beg to come back." I never did. I moved to Chicago with just a laptop and a dream. I built Pinnacle from nothing, working grueling hours, staking everything. Now Pinnacle held silent stakes in many of the companies my family worked with. There was a knock. "Miss Quinn," Lena said, entering with a thick folder. "The contract from Quinn and Nathan Enterprises, it's ready for your signature." I smiled. So they needed my help after all. I picked up my pen. "Actually, Lena, shred it. Happy holidays." The irony felt sweeter than any festive drink. Quinn and Nathan Enterprises, my father's pride, had spent months chasing a partnership with Pinnacle Strategies, unaware it was led by the daughter they'd dismissed. I glanced at Mom's message again. "Need to keep up appearances." My email pinged. A note from Nathan. "Harper, Mom mentioned Christmas. Don't take it personally. You know how she is about image. Melanie's in the public eye, so it's simpler this way. Maybe when you're settled, things can normalize." When I'm settled, I thought, eyeing the multi-million-dollar deal on my desk. This partnership would open Quinn and Nathan's global markets, a lifeline they desperately needed. I knew from our data how much Dad bragged about it. All it needed was my signature. Lena returned, holding a tablet. "Your father's on Zoom. He wants to confirm tomorrow's signing event." I nodded and took the call. "Harper Quinn speaking," I said, voice steady and sharp. I always used my mother's maiden name in business to stay under the radar. "Hey, everything set?" my father asked, cheerful but formal, a stark contrast to the man who once called my startup a pipe dream. "This deal's critical for us." I thought of the Christmases I was excluded from, Nathan's condescending emails, the years I spent as the family's shadow. "Actually, Mr. Quinn," I said deliberately, "I've been reviewing the agreement. I have reservations." "Reservations?" his voice faltered, but it was finalized. "Things evolve," I replied. "We should meet in person. Bring the whole family to the signing. Quinn and Nathan is a family business, isn't it?" "Of course," he stuttered. "My wife, Nathan, Melanie, everyone." "All your children, Mr. Quinn," I said firmly. A pause. "Well, Harper's not really part of this," he said softly. "All your children," I repeated. "Understood," he mumbled. "Good," I said, and ended the call. Tomorrow would be unforgettable. After he hung up, I leaned back, gazing at Chicago's shimmering skyline. Tomorrow, my family would walk into Pinnacle's headquarters, expecting a faceless CEO. Instead, they'd meet the daughter they'd overlooked. Lena appeared again. "Shall I set up the boardroom for tomorrow?" I nodded, tracing the embossed contracts. "Yes, and Lena, ensure the photographers are ready. I want every moment captured, every reaction." That night, I stayed late, perfecting every detail. This wasn't just a contract signing. It was the moment everything would shift. My family obsessed over image, but they were about to see what true power looked like. Christmas would never feel the same. By 6 a.m., I was in my office. The 47th floor boardroom sparkled, fresh lilies, a gleaming mahogany table, and sweeping views of the icy lake below. Lena appeared. "Your family's here. Shall I bring them up?" I checked my reflection. Gone were the cozy sweaters and plain shoes they knew. Today, I wore a tailored gray suit, Louboutin heels, and my grandmother's vintage Rolex, her last gift to the granddaughter they underestimated. "Let them wait," I said, smoothing my jacket. "I'll make an entrance." 20 minutes later, I stood in my private elevator watching the floors tick by. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mom. "Harper, where are you? Your father says this meeting is vital. Don't humiliate us." I smiled, pocketing the phone. Through the glass walls, I saw them. Dad pacing, Mom adjusting Nathan's tie, Melanie practicing her camera-ready smile, and the board members skimming contracts, clueless. I nodded to Lena. She opened the doors. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "Miss Harper Quinn, CEO of Pinnacle Strategies." The room stilled, the atmosphere crackled, my heels clicked on the marble as I stepped in. Mom's wine glass slipped, shattering on the polished table. Dad's face went pale, anger melting into shock. But Nathan's stunned silence, his smug confidence shattered, was what I'd remember most. "Good morning," I said coolly, taking the head of the table. "Shall we start?" "This is ridiculous," Dad stammered. "You're a freelancer, aren't you?" I opened a sleek folder. "Actually, per these documents, I'm the CEO of Pinnacle Strategies, the firm you've been pursuing." The board chair straightened, suddenly alert. "I'm sorry, what's happening here?" "Oh," I said, turning to Melanie with a mock smile. "I'd have been introduced at Christmas, but I wasn't invited. Something about keeping up appearances." Mom opened her mouth. "Harper, darling, this is a misunderstanding." "Is it?" I cut in sharp. I pressed a button and the wall screen glowed. "Let's review. Here's your text, Mom, asking me to skip Christmas. Here's Nathan suggesting my career's a hobby. And here," I tapped again, "is Dad begging for this deal, unaware he's been negotiating with his forgotten daughter." Silence fell. Lena distributed updated contracts to each guest. Dad flipped through his, frantic. "These aren't the same terms?" "Correct," I said. "I've made changes. I've had years to plan this moment." "No," he leaned forward. "You can't do this. Quinn and Nathan has expansion plans, investors." "Like I had plans when I started Pinnacle with no support," I said. "When I was ignored at every family gathering." "That was different," Mom said. "We were shielding you from failure." "No," I stood, voice slicing the air. "You were shielding your reputation." I gestured to the skyline. "Today the world sees who the Quinns really are." I adjusted my jacket. "The partnership is off. Pinnacle will acquire Merrick's directly, and as Dad likely realizes, that cuts Quinn and Nathan off from the European market." Dad sank into his chair, the reality hitting. Without Pinnacle's deal, without global capital, Quinn and Nathan would stay a fading regional player, clinging to an illusion of relevance. "You can't," he whispered. "We're family." I paused at the door. Family. Yesterday I wasn't successful enough to be family. Now am I enough for Christmas? I left. The silence was deafening. Through the glass, I saw Mom clutch a silk scarf to her face, Dad staring at the ruined contract, and Nathan, perfect Nathan, slack-jawed as his world crumbled. Lena walked beside me. "That was intense. You okay?" I glanced at my phone. Another text from Mom. "Harper, please come to dinner. We need to fix this." I smiled faintly. "Cancel Christmas dinner," I said. "I've got better plans." The fallout was swift. Voicemails, emails, desperate texts. "Harper, we're your parents. You're destroying us. This isn't how family works. Let's meet, just us." I didn't reply. Pinnacle sealed the Merrick's acquisition while Quinn and Nathan's stock slid. Headlines were brutal. Family firm sinks in failed deal. Pinnacle dominates AI supply chain. A week later, I was reviewing new acquisition proposals when Lena appeared. "Your brother's here. Third time this week, but he's alone." I checked the security feed. Nathan stood in the lobby, no polished grin, tie loose, eyes weary. Something had shifted. "Send him up," I said. Nathan entered slowly, scanning my office, the skyline, the art, the quiet authority. "Nice place," he said quietly. "Bigger than mine at Quinn and Nathan, though that's not saying much now." "What do you want, Nathan?" He sank into a chair, no posturing. "Melanie ended the engagement, said I'm a liability now, bad for her brand." The irony lingered. "Dad's drinking again, the board's in chaos, Mom's avoiding her social circle, it's all falling apart." "Because of me?" I asked evenly. "No," he admitted, "because we built everything on optics like my engagement." I nodded. "You all thought success had one shape and I didn't fit it." "I deserve that," he said softly. "You deserved better," I replied, voice firm. "Do you know what it was like watching you all celebrate each other while I was invisible? Mom threw galas for your promotions. She never even asked what I did." "We thought you were struggling." "You never asked," I snapped, standing. "Not once in a decade did you ask about my company, my team, my goals. You were too busy mocking me to see I'd outgrown you all." His silence spoke volumes. Then real tears formed in his eyes. "I was terrible to you. Can you forgive me?" I met his gaze. "Forgiveness isn't the problem, Nathan. Trust is." "And that's earned." The door swung open. My parents stormed in, ignoring Lena's protests. "Harper," Dad barked, his usual fire dimmed. "This has gone too far. You've made your point." "And what's that?" I asked calmly. "That you're successful," Mom said, breathless. "That we were wrong. We see you now. Please stop hurting us." I laughed, cold and sharp. "You think this is about revenge, about proving myself? No, this is about consequences. Your choices, your judgment, your dismissal, they carry weight." We're your parents, Dad said, voice breaking. We wanted to protect you. I turned to the window, city lights gleaming. No, you wanted to protect your image. Now it's in pieces, a failing company, a broken engagement, a family unraveling. What do you want? Nathan asked softly. What I wanted, I said, was your faith when I built Pinnacle, your respect when I succeeded. To be family, not a failure. I paused. But now I want nothing. Mom's tears fell, but I didn't waver. I'd seen those tears before when I picked the wrong college, refused the family job, disappointed them. Please, Harper, it's almost Christmas, Mom whispered. Yes, I said coolly. The Christmas I was too embarrassing to attend. Tell me, is image still a priority? Or did that fade when your golden boy lost his fiancée? Dad stepped forward. Name your price, board, seats, shares, and apology. I shook my